Are we ready to get started, Liz?
I'm totally ready. I'm so ready.
You have your shirt on.
I do. I'm Appy Hour ready.
Love it. Love it.
Am I going to get one of those?
As soon as I get my AutoEntry shirt, yes.
Yes, absolutely. Scale new heights. We're going to swap. Scale new heights. We're going to swap.
Yeah.
All right. Swap shirts happening.
Yes.
Yeah.
I like it. So the topic today is super exciting. I'm glad that you're here with us. And I can't wait to share because this is the topic that everybody's already involved in. So I'm going to go ahead and start sharing the screen so we can have this conversation.
All right.
Do you see my screen now?
We do.
I
can see your screen. Absolutely.
So we're talking about rethinking bookkeeping automation. So all of these tools that we're hearing about, how do we use them and how do we have this true automation?
Right. It's that's what it's all about, right? Automating everything now. Yeah. So real quick, I'm Heather Satterlee. I think I know everybody on this call, but if I haven't met you yet, I'm Heather Satterlee, and I have a firm in Portsmouth, Rhode Island called Satterlee Training Consulting, where I focus on helping folks implement QuickBooks Online and third-party apps and automate their workflows. So that is primarily what I do. I love technology and automation and learning new things. And so that's what I do all day, and I love it.
So I do a lot of the same things. Years ago, our firm did different things for different clients, but now we are solely QuickBooks. And that's the tool that we use for all of our clients. We convert them to QuickBooks. We help train them and set them up with QuickBooks. And then the thing that we get asked to do most often is integrations with QuickBooks. And so, you know, the thing that happens is you have a tool that can do this piece over here, and you have a tool that can do this piece over here. But the fun thing that we're talking about today is, what if there's buttons in between? Can you eliminate some of that? Can you truly start making these automated workflows? So that's why I'm so excited today. And thank you for being here, Tom.
Hey, thank you guys for having
me.
Thank you very much for having me.
And those of you that are go to conferences like we do, every single time we go by the AutoEntry booth, everybody gets so excited. You are just one of the most animated, fun at any conference, hands down.
We try to be. We aim to be. Yes.
Yep.
Hashtag accounting rock star, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, thank you, Matthew. Tom is the man. That is a lovely comment from Matthew.
Hey, Matthew.
Cheers, mate. Thank you very much.
Yeah, that's fun. You know, that's like the best thing about going to conferences is seeing your buds and then catching up with them and what are they doing?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Oh, definitely. All right. So our agenda today, we've just welcomed you all, so we can cross that off the list, right? We checked that box.
We like our list.
We do. We're going to talk about rethinking bookkeeping automation. So we're going to talk about that a little bit. Then we are going to raise a toast, and we have a super yummy drink today with AutoEntry. And then we're going to learn about AutoEntry and how awesome it is. And then we're going to talk about our coolest thing we did this month. And then we're going to tell you about our next episode. Sound like a plan?
Sounds good to me, guys. Sounds fantastic.
Awesome.
We're diving in.
Let's do it. All right. So rethinking bookkeeping automation. Liz and I were talking about this. Well, we talk about this all the time, to be honest with you. Right. So that's most of our conversations are about automating something or another. But really what we want, is there an app for that? Yeah. But one of the things that we were talking about is, you know, we're talking about the commodity, you know, our industry is being commoditized, right? Or it has been, right? Our clients are starting to look at our services as something that they can just pick up for any price. They don't really care what's doing it. And so, or who's doing it or what's doing it, that matter, right? So it's really important for us to differentiate ourselves. And one of the ways that we can do that is to look beyond just automating and streamlining the bookkeeping processes, but looking at automating and streamlining our clients' entire processes. So their customer workflows, their vendor workflows, their employee communication workflows, and helping them to connect all the pieces so that they have a really well-oiled machine and they can focus on making strategic decisions about their business that will help them grow and help them be successful. And then their customers are successful, and then their employees, and it just becomes this big, wonderful explosion of success, right?
Yeah, and you know, I'm going to go ahead and go to the next slide because this is the thing that I think that we're now focused on. So
yeah,
yes, there's lots of apps out there. Yes, there's lots of great tools. But if it creates more work, then it's not worth it. So a true clean system to be able to move you from point A to point B is now what we're starting to look at. So
oh my gosh, yeah.
all these different tools out there, and do some of these tools do more than what they used to? So that's one of the things that AutoEntry has grasped a hold of. They do lots of different things. And I love that they're going to show us they do more than just one solution. So we can look at these tools and figure out, do they do more than what we're taking advantage of? And if not, how do we get our data moved from one place to the other? So how do we truly start automating the process and moving away from all the button clicking?
Absolutely. Did you hear me? Did you hear what I said?
No.
Absolutely. All right, that was horrible. That was awful. Sorry. I know. I know. I think I lost about like 25 points for that comment.
Anybody walk out. It's like
no,
the bar.
I agree with you, and it is what I'm seeing a lot of is, you know, people, they see the next shiny app and they run out and they try to implement it, and then they don't adopt it, right? They see it, they say, this is perfect for me. But unless you start looking holistically at the entire system, that's just going to keep happening. You have to look at the process from end to end as an entire system before you even start thinking about technology, right? What needs to happen? What processes are dependent on other processes, and really outline the entire workflow before you can even define what features your apps are going to need. And then once you find a great app, then you start, you move on to the next step in the process, and eventually you'll build out an entire ecosystem of systems that are basically working together from end to end.
And I'm going to share a funny thing that happened this last week. So I was part of the Intuit webinar training, and during that, I downloaded some of the Intuit resources, and one of them was a new client worksheet.
Mm-hmm.
And so I actually would have like, well, I'm going to be talking about this, so let me use it. And I used it with one of my clients. And then I was like, oh, but I know the rest of this information. And I didn't actually go through the rest of that checklist with my client. And I went ahead and started implementing some technology, and later found out, hey, they're already using ProAdvisors for all of their check writing. And so it was like, those handy little tools to be able to figure out the entire process really are necessary. And so it was kind of a funny little shame on you for not getting all the information.
And I have a couple of resources on my website, which actually we should share on the Appy Hour website too, Liz. On my resources, Satterlee Consulting /resources, there's an app inventory worksheet. And it's a super, super, super simple Google sheet. And all it has is it has a column for the name of the app. It has a column for what does the app do? And then it has a column for, I think, when the next subscription is, or notes that you can put in. And I think the one that I actually use in my practice has the cost. And it also has the expiration date or the renewal date for the subscription. And when I onboard a new client for a process automation, or any client for anything, I have them fill out this app inventory worksheet so I can see all the apps that they're using, because there could be some overlap. There could be apps that they don't even realize can integrate with each other. I can't tell you how many times I'll be working with a client and they are using two apps that essentially do the same thing.
Yeah.
And because they don't realize that one of the apps has the feature of the other. And if they had, and probably didn't when they implemented it, but they don't pay attention to those update emails that, that come in, that come in and tell you the changes in the product. So it's a good idea to go through these app inventory worksheets with your clients so that you have an idea of all the technology they're working. And when you start to tell them what apps they can get rid of because they don't need them anymore, and you start saving those dollars, that's also making you, super valuable to them.
Well, and how many times do we get surprised with some of the things that our clients say? Like for me, my example was my client was not very tech forward. So to hear that they were using a technology that let them put in the barcodes on the bottom of their checks to be able to print from different bank accounts, I was surprised that they were using something like that, because they're coming to me for help with automating systems. So our clients
Right.
surprise us from time to time. They just do.
They do. Absolutely. Absolutely. And if you could go back to that slide just for 1 second, and then we'll move on. I also want to talk about, we as accounting pros, we're naturally great at process design, right? So we are all about relationships, right? If you think about debits and credits and financial statements and connecting the dots, you know, if you think about our auditing background and kind of looking at where source documents are coming from, where the data is coming, making sure that it's valid and reliable, right? We're naturally really great at that. So we are kind of just poised to step into this role to start advising our clients on process automation and process improvement. And that's really going to help us to stand out against, you know, our competitors and actually work as consultants to help them, you know, streamline and then go after the strategy, right?
So you're saying we like our systems?
Just a little bit.
Who'd have thought that, eh? Accountants like
Who would have had that?
imposters. Who'd have thought that?
Yeah.
And we might always be right.
Right.
Maybe onto something.
Funny. Maybe a little bit. Yeah. Yeah. So we're going to cover 5 apps today, kind of briefly, just to introduce you to 5 apps that I've seen over the past year that I feel can really help accounting professionals, you know, learn to connect the different systems and the different apps that their clients are using, both in their own practice and with their clients. And then we're on QuickBooks, Liz.
I know.
There we go. Okay.
I was thinking I wanted to show the product live, and so.
Oh, okay. So
Sorry.
we're gonna talk about 5 of those. Some of them you've probably heard of them. Some of them are probably going to be new to you. But there's definitely things. We're going to do a real high level overview of what they are. Some of them I use in my practice, and some of them are relatively new to me as well. And I know at least one person on this webinar uses one of these quite extensively. So maybe he can give us a little feedback as well. So are you going to go ahead and share, Liz?
I am. I wanted
Okay.
to.
Oh, you get logged in?
Yeah, I wanted to make sure I was logged in and then be able to share this next one because it's really cool.
Okay, cool. Let's do it.
All right.
All right. So our first killer app to help you automate workflows is If This Then That. So maybe some of you have heard of If This Then That, but what it is it creates applets between different apps that you use. And even, we were just talking about this before we got on, even some of the devices that you use, right? So if you use an Amazon Alexa, right? The, what is it, the Echo?
Oh my God. Yes.
Yeah, so
we were making
you can
it go crazy earlier.
Right, exactly.
We were playing with it, kept on talking about Alexa because you can search all of these different things that if this then that will do, and so you've got all these different options here. You can send one application to the other thing, and so one of the things that you were saying, Heather, that you do is you send a weather report to yourself.
Yeah, so if it's going to rain, I have an applet that basically sends me a text message saying, don't forget your umbrella tomorrow, right? So if you have landscaper clients, think about that, how that could help your landscaper clients. If it's going to rain tomorrow, it could send a text to the crew saying, hey, it's going to rain tomorrow, come to the office before you go to your customers, you know? So thinking about those kind of things that are real problems with our clients that aren't accounting problems, you know, they're customer service problems, but that's how we become that deep embedded advisor that's going to help our clients holistically in their business.
Well, and I also think that that's one of those playful ways that we get our clients to use some of these tools. So
yeah, definitely.
Start with something easy like what you just suggested. The other one that's on here that's also fun is there's a little applet, and you can say, I'm in an uncomfortable conversation, and you can hit a little button on your phone and it'll ring. Your phone will start calling you.
Oh my
awesome.
God.
Excuse me, I got it.
Urgent call.
Right? So you can do some of this introduction to these technologies in a fun little way, and then you can go and look what else you can do. And that's whenever you can start talking about, if they use Trello, then you can dump that into their Google Calendar. That's the one that just got me the most excited. I'm a big Trello user. And so being able to know that I can grab some, if I post to the Trello board, then I can take that and push it to my Google Calendar.
Yeah, absolutely. Another one that that I was testing last month, and I'm trying to decide if it's too many tweets. There's one that if somebody follows me on Twitter, it automatically thanks them. It automatically says, hey, thanks for following me. And I can't tell you how much my Twitter following has grown just in the past, 60 days that I've been testing it out. Because it's more eyeballs on my Twitter account. And so it's really helping me to grow. Where I'm kind of at a kind of rethinking things is a lot of thank you tweets. So I feel like every couple of tweets is a thank you tweet, but I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
Well, I mean, you're not doing the actual work yourself. So maybe
nope.
That's a good thing. But yeah, no, I'm with you.
But what I love about that, Liz, is that it starts a conversation with my new Twitter followers too. So I say, hey, thank you. Then they respond back to me, and before you know it, we're in a conversation. So it is establishing relationships that may never have happened if I didn't notice that they had followed me on Twitter, right?
And a lot of these applications that we're talking about tie into technologies that we're already using. So a lot of us are already using Drive. A lot of us are already using some of these devices, like our Alexa. And if I say that, I know she's going to light up over there. But one of the things that we can do is we can set these reminders to be able to set for our clients. So we can set a statement that if this happens, then go ahead and tell our client to do X, or a reminder to do this, or anything that's an if-then statement. That's what you use this app for. And these little applets, you go in there and you select which one, you put in your phone number, and that's really it. Like, now I'll get a link.
It's super easy.
It is. It's one of the easiest things to do. So here it is right there. So get yourself out of an awkward situation. And I literally, my phone just lit up because it just sent me a message saying, right now.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Let's, I just totally echoed through the entire bar. I said, all right. And it was like,
you've got their attention.
I did. I got the entire bar's attention. All right. So the next one that we were going to talk about, of course, is Zapier. So everybody knows that I'm a Zapier enthusiast. And so Zapier works very much like If This and That. It has a little more customization options as far as the data that you're sending. So with If This and That, you can build your own custom applets. I've never done that, so I can't speak to how easy that is. But most of the applets that all of the applets that I have used are basically plug and play. So basically it says connect your app here, and they're very simple. If this happens, then this thing happens over here. Whereas with Zapier, you can connect over 1,500 apps, and you can really, really dig in and create some pretty amazing automations and customize them to suit your specific needs or your client's specific needs. Were you going to say something, Liz?
Well, it's that thing of, so in real life, an example of where Zapier would really save some people time is, we use it with our MailChimp. So actually tied in, sending out newsletters. So, once upon a time, you would go and you enter in these newsletter lists, and then you'd have to do things to send them out. But now you can use one tool to do a lot of different campaigns, and you can simplify it by saying, this has just happened. We had it as a show today about auto entry and automation processes, and then we can push it to Zapier, and Zapier can push it to our MailChimp. So that's how these tools connect the activities that we're already using to be able to really create a workflow.
Right. Where I'm really seeing a lot of accounting practitioners really excel and use Zapier is in the client onboarding. So sending out that initial questionnaire to the client, having them fill it out, and then having that data populate in QuickBooks and MailChimp and ShareFile and QuickBooks Online, and basically all the different apps they're using. They can, Practice Ignition, all of those great apps. You can onboard them. We're going to talk a little bit later, so I don't want to do a spoiler, so I'm going to zip it. But Zapier is awesome. I help clients with Zapier all the time, helping them to set up these automations. So if they're not entering data in a bunch of, in many different places, they're entering it once, and then it's actually getting sent to all the places it needs to go. So a customer onboarding or client onboarding experience that was spending 40 to 45 minutes, it now doesn't take any time, because you have the client fill out the client onboarding questionnaire, and then it just adds them to all your apps, and you're done, instead of sitting there manually adding.
Yeah, exactly. It's like it's like for things that reoccur, that's where a lot of these apps are great. So if you're doing an activity over and over again, then you pretty much can bet there's some type of tool that you can put in between to create a layer of where you don't have to do it. It's going to automate the next piece.
Definitely. And for a lot of apps that are, that our clients are using, there may not be a native integration. So Kylie from Locate was just saying that they're really excited about Zapier because they can use it internally, but they are also building out automations for their customers that use Locate that can now automate some of those tasks between their customers and vendors using data in Locate. So it really, the sky's the limit. I have so much fun playing with it and helping others find solutions with that tool. It really is one of my favorite tools.
It's a good one. And then here's another one. So if you're not using Zapier.
Yeah, so Microsoft Flow does pretty much the same thing as Zapier, or if this and that, but it's built on the Microsoft platform. And so if you have an Office 365 subscription, you have Microsoft Flow for free. So you can build, and it connects with a lot of different apps like Trello and Google Suite, G Suite. So you can build automations with Microsoft Flow as well. And there's templates with all of these. There's templates that you can just plug and play. So you just connect your account, make a couple of adjustments, and you're ready to go. I'm not going to lie, there is a learning curve on both Zapier and Microsoft Flow. So it's not one of those things where you're going to jump in. You might jump in and just be building these really, intricate integrations. But there are a lot of plug and play ones that really could save you some time. And the more you do it, the more you'll be able to do it. So as you continue to start, building Zaps, the more you're going to be able to expand on the integrations that you're able to create.
And, so expand on the integrations that you're able to create. So where you could actually use something like this that would be very helpful is you get a packing slip that comes in. You could scan that packing slip and then you could do things with it. And this next slide, you could use the WebMerge. So
totally. So thank you to Matthew Fulton for actually, I think Matthew Fulton told me about WebMerge and I absolutely fell in love with it. So what this does is, for a long time, I was looking for a tool that was going to be able to take data fields from apps that I use and then create a Word document. So put together basically a mail merge, but with data from different cloud applications. And so you can take data from an application, you can create a Word document, a PDF document, or a JPEG, an image, and then you can take that mail merge document and then it can go to an endpoint like Adobe Sign or Slack or whatever. We actually use that in Appy Hour. Our contracts are set up from an online form that we have that actually takes the information and creates our contracts automatically, and then all we have to do is send them. So it's a huge time saver. It's pretty amazing. And there is a free version that gives you 5 free merges a month. So once you connect that with Zapier, whoa. It's like, whoa, the sky's the limit. So big fan of mail merge. And thank you, Matthew.
Well, and I'm going to show it just briefly, just the small bit. So
sure. Yeah.
With WebMerge, here's an example. So if I didn't start off with a Google document, I started off with a Word document here. And for my example, what I've got is, we're trying to capture paid out by location. So we've got the business location, and then we can put in the purchaser's name and the paid out list, and then the date. So we can put all of that information here, and then we come over into our WebMerge, and we can say in WebMerge, here's our document. We can go and edit it. And then within our editing, we can say that we want to upload our document. We can change our settings in our document. And then,
that's where you would choose whether there was go back for a second. That's where you would choose the Word document, the PDF, or the JPEG, and you can even customize the file name.
And yeah, so here's the file name that you were just talking about. So we can say what it is. So in this case, it's the weekly receipt purchase list. So we just need to be able to let every single location communicate to the main office what was purchased. And then we can say our test. So using that Word document that we created, it generated all these fields for us. And so we were able to put in here now what each of these are. So we were able to say location 1, the purchaser's name, and then what they bought, and then we can send it. And whenever we say test this document, I get an email that tells me what just happened. Or I could go over here and I could look at this document, so it would tell me what was just sent. So this would be an example of what was sent to the email address.
So if you think about it, when you go back to that test page where she was putting in the data, imagine that you had connected this to Zapier and the trigger was a Google form. And they fill out the form, right? And they save the Google form, and that writes to a Google Sheet, which triggers off the Zap. It takes the data from those fields and connects it to those fields in WebMerge. And then all of a sudden you place those fields wherever you want in the doc. Bam, you have a new document. You can have it delivered to Slack, to email, to Adobe Sign, wherever you want it to go. So it's fully automating the creation of documents using web applications and stuff that you may already be using. So pretty awesome.
That's the big thing.
Yeah, it's a huge one. So love that. And it was just acquired by FormStack, and people love FormStack. So it's all good, right? All right. Then the last one is Process Street. And Process Street is their checklist, but they're checklists that can do stuff. So you create a checklist, and then you can collaborate with your team, and you can actually run the checklist. So you create the checklist, you run it, and then as you complete each option, each step in the process, you can connect it to Zapier, and as you complete them, it can be firing off different triggers. So this is how you can completely automate a process by having dependencies and also going through what each step in the process is. So it's a great place to organize your process, but then what you can do is you can build it further by, after you've organized the process, creating those automations for Zapier integrations and other apps that you use. So I could create a checklist that says, client completes Google Forms, check the box. When that happens, it could send an email setting up an appointment, right? When I check the next box, it could send them, it could add their name to my MailChimp list. So it's a little different in the sense that there is a little bit of interaction there where you could be pressing buttons, but you can also have dependencies as well. So there's a lot of potential there with Process Street as well. So that was one that I really like.
There is times whenever you want to have that checklist and to visually be able to see this happened. So
cool.
I like it.
Cool. And Appy's saying that WebMerge has the ability to generate an embedded form so you can skip Zapier. So that's great. I didn't know that. See, that's about knowing your apps and them having functionality that you know about. Thanks, Matt.
Okay. All right. So
I'm dating.
Now the important part.
That's right.
I want everybody to see
beautiful this is.
Versions. Okay, so Tom's is more pink.
Yes, mine was done by my lovely colleague Lisa, and I have to admit I've had a sip already, so I am cheating a little bit.
Oh, so you've got to try yours.
I have got to try mine, yes.
No, that's not cheating. That's try before you buy. And Heather's, yours is really pretty. You're sitting in a...
It is pretty. It's got a lime, and it's got an orange and a strawberry in it.
I love it.
So it's not a frozen daiquiri. It's a daiquiri on the rocks, but it's, well, I'm going to taste it and I'll tell you if it's delicious. It looks delicious.
So mine's the traditional daiquiri, and I put blueberries in there for our AutoEntry.
Yummy.
Very creative.
So here's to AutoEntry. Thank you for helping us automate our bookkeeping processes.
And hey, thank you very much for having me. This is wonderful. Yes,
we do tend to have a good time.
It is as good as it looks.
Oh, it is, huh? So
it really
oh, yummy, yummy, yummy.
It looks creamy and sweet. So
oh, that's good.
So Tom, do you want to introduce who you are and part of that awesome fun group that we see at all of our conferences?
Yes, absolutely. So for those of you that I don't know, I can see quite a few names on here that I recognize. But for those of you who don't know me, I'm Tom Port. I'm the VP of Sales at AutoEntry. Give you the abridged version of my history. I've been working in cloud accounting technology for the last 9 years. So pretty much straight out of college, went straight to work for the first iteration of our company. And ever since then, I found a deep passion in helping accountants and bookkeepers find efficiencies. And I've started the UK office, then went to the Australian office, and now finally I'm based in Arizona, leading up to our US efforts.
That's fantastic.
Yes.
Well,
yes,
I'm going to pass the presenter to you.
Thank you very much.
Stop sharing, and I'm going to let you start sharing. So down there at the bottom of the Zoom, you should be able to push that green share button.
Absolutely. So hopefully you can now see my screen.
We can.
Excellent, excellent. Okay, so as I said, I'm Tom, and I suppose really to introduce what we do, what AutoEntry does, is that for those of you that haven't heard about AutoEntry is about automating your data entry. So what I mean by that is instead of taking data and manually entering it into QuickBooks Online or even QuickBooks Desktop, AutoEntry is going to automate all of that process for you. Now, just to, I suppose, set the scene a little bit and give you a bit of the background of how AutoEntry came around, because I always think it's an interesting story. AutoEntry came around between a conversation between a software developer and an accountant. And everyone always says this sounds like a bad joke, but it's absolutely not. The software developer said to the accountant, tell me about your job, tell me what you do. And the accountant sat there and said, well, a lot of my work involves manually entering data from bank statements, from bills, from invoices, receipts. And the software developer looked at him and said, like, what? Like, so you're telling me you've gone to college for X number of years, you're absolutely a professional in your space, and you are sitting there and manually entering data into an accounting platform? And the accountant said, yep, that's what I do. So the software developer, our current CEO, Brendan, said, right, we have to fix this. They then met me in a Dublin gym, and I was living the dream. I was doing step, bums, and tums classes. And they said, you look like you could be good at talking to people. And they hired me, and I never looked back. So that's how the background came around. So a few things, I suppose what I want to focus on today is one of my clients coined this phrase recently, and I think it's really true, is that I think the industry is suffering from a little bit of app fatigue. And what I mean by that is that there's so much noise in the industry surrounding what apps you can gain efficiencies from. So what I want to focus on today is really what makes AutoEntry different. So the first thing I want to talk about is AutoEntry connects to, of course, we connect with QuickBooks Online, and that makes up the vast majority of our connections. However, we also have a QuickBooks Desktop integration as well. And also, and we may need to move the Zoom, I'm going to pop the Zoom bar out of the way for myself. What also makes us special is that while there's a lot of people in our space, and I'd like to think that, well, not like to think, I think it's a reality that automated data entry has a lot of competitors. What AutoEntry makes us different is we tend to capture pretty much everything. So what I mean by that is that I like to think that when the client brings in, I call it the bag of rubbish, if you will, what we can automate is your AP, your AR, your bank statements, your vendor statement reconciliation, and we can even fetch from over 6,000 institutions as well. Also makes us special is that we provide full line item capture. So on anything that we capture, should you require it, AutoEntry can provide full line item extraction, which if we apply that to certain verticals like construction, manufacturing, it's really important. As I said, we can do vendor statement reconciliation, and of course we can do fetching. So again, what we're trying to position ourselves in the space is that we want to be the one-stop shop for data entry. We want our clients to know one app really well than having to know a little bit of lots of apps. And I always like to do any presentation I have, just trying to give you the experience of what our clients are saying about us. And this was from a client not too long ago. And I love this quote because they say, I recently have fallen in love with AutoEntry. So that's one of my favorite quotes there. But of course, I think AutoEntry is the second highest rated app in the QuickBooks, the data capture on apps.com. So by all means, check that out. But this is just what one of our clients has said about us. Oh, and there's quite a lot of slides here. Fantastic. So if you do want to get in contact with us, of course, you can follow us on Twitter, you can give us a call, pop us an email. But actually what I want to focus on now is spending the rest of my time just showing you the product. So here is AutoEntry. And hopefully this is showing you the first thing that I mentioned there is that we've got all the different types of data we can capture. So we've got here our accounts payable, our accounts receivable, our vendor statements, and our bank statements. So the journey that I'm going to start with today is talking about accounts payable automation. So if we just think about this from a client's perspective, Mr. Smith has come into your office. It's the end of the month, the end of the quarter, maybe he's an outsourced bookkeeping client. Alternatively, he's sitting in his office and he's having to manually enter data into QuickBooks. So we obviously all accept the fact that that's highly inefficient, and he or you could be doing much more with your time, much more valuable activities. So what he's going to do is he's going to take that data and he's just going to scan it through a standard office scanner. He's just going to grab his smartphone and he's just going to take a photo using the AutoEntry app. Or alternatively, he's going to email the data directly into AutoEntry. Now, of course, every client you set up has their own unique email that they can send data to. So what's going to happen next is AutoEntry is going to extract all of the transactional data off that document. So this is the important part. So we're going to grab all of the transactional data, as you can see here. So what we've done here is the legwork, for want of a better phrase, that AutoEntry has done, is we've captured the date format, the vendor name, vendor account in QuickBooks, the category, the currency, the net, and the total of the bill. And of course, we've got location and class, should you need to use that. So this is information that AutoEntry has captured off the document, and this information here, and then the middle information, supplier account and category, of course, that just comes from QuickBooks Online or QuickBooks Desktop for that matter. But let's actually take a deeper dive into AutoEntry, and let's actually have a look at what AutoEntry has done. So if I click on the AutoEntry eye here, what I can see is we've got a split screen view. We've got left-hand side is all of the data that we've captured off the document, and of course, the right-hand side is the original copy of the bill itself. So just to, again, highlight a few things that we do slightly different from everyone else in this space. The first thing is that AutoEntry does PO matching. So if you have a purchase order that is in your accounting software, AutoEntry will automatically reconcile the bill against the purchase order. So we see that in particular to add a ton of value for people like manufacturing, again, construction firms. These guys that are regularly using POs, AutoEntry works very well for. Second thing here, billable customer. Any bill you capture, you can allocate directly to the customer. And of course, as I said, we've captured all the individual line items off the document. So you've got a vendor and they have a myriad of different things they're buying from one supplier. It really doesn't matter too much because you can have 20 line items, you have 5 line items, it really doesn't matter. Now, when you've finished and when you've reviewed the data and you're happy with it, what you can do now is just hit publish, and we can see this document's already been published, so I might move on to another one. And we just hit this button here, publish. And what that is going to do is that's going to publish that directly through into QuickBooks. So if I just move into my QuickBooks for a second, what I can see is I'm going to go to my expense transactions within QuickBooks, and I'm going to take, let's just see this one here, Lennox Industries, which we can actually see here, Lennox Industries as well. We can see that's in QuickBooks Online. Click onto QuickBooks, and we can see the transaction that AutoEntry has created. So AutoEntry has captured the transaction, added all of the line items. Of course, it's gone in as a bill or an expense, depending whether it was paid or not. And what we can also see is if we click on this little button here, we can see an original copy of the document itself. So the document, of course, is going to live within AutoEntry, but also it's going to live within QuickBooks Online as well. Also as well, what we can do is, I haven't covered today, but AutoEntry can send documents straight through to bill.com as well. So if you want to send the data through to bill.com and pay the bill from there, you can absolutely use that as well. And AutoEntry will indeed send an original copy of the document as well. The next thing that I want to cover very briefly is the bank statement capture. We seem to be very popular for bank statement capture. And I think the reason why, particularly in this part of the world, is this country is so big. You guys have 3,000 banks, 3,000 credit unions, and it's incredibly tricky to have a bank feed for every single institution. So the value we provide for bank statement clients is, let's say Mr. Jones comes in this time. And Mr. Jones is horribly organized, and he brings you a bag full of bank statements around tax season, says, figure it out. Get this data into my accounting software. Yeah. What you can do with AutoEntry, scan the data through, upload it into our software. We're going to do exactly the same things. We're going to extract all of the transactional data off the document. We're going to, of course, verify the data that we've extracted is accurate, because you need it to be accurate. We're going to identify in our notes field just here if there's any missing pages. AutoEntry is going to flag that up for you. And what we can do now is we can just click on the AutoEntry eye. And again, hopefully you can see a bit of a theme. The left-hand side is the transactional data that we've captured, and the right-hand side is going to be the original copy of the document itself. So this is from a very sort of generic Wells Fargo account, but you could have the credit union of Western Indiana. I don't know, anything. And AutoEntry will absolutely be able to capture the statement data from there.
I got to tell you, Tom, so I actually tested this several months ago with a client, and I took the opportunity to actually test AutoEntry's bank import against some of your competitors.
Oh, lovely.
And I got to tell you, and I got to tell you guys totally won hands down. So the accuracy of the data that I got back was so spot on compared to some of the other tools that I was kind of testing out at the same time. It was staggering. I mean, it wasn't even like, well, it was a little better. It was like out of this world better. So I was very, very impressed with that. And it made my job so much easier. So great job.
You know, I'm going to add on to that. And I'm going to say one of the things that this goes back to is we were talking about using one tool for a lot of different purposes.
100%.
Yeah.
So Heather, you just pointed out there's lots of tools that can do this very thing. But if you can have one tool that can do lots of different jobs, then that's a huge win. And so, you know, I agree with you. Being able to fetch, being able to, oh, and we've got a question here. So Capital One.
I think we have a few questions. Let me see.
We do have a few, yeah.
I saw it flashing.
Yeah, Michael asked about Capital One. Can you fetch Capital One statements?
Tell you what, Michael, should we try that right now? I can absolutely have a look at that. Let's do a live test. There's 6,000 people that we, yes, there's 6,000 people that we fetch
Michael,
from.
here we go.
There's 6,000 people that we fetch from, guys. So you'll forgive me for not remembering every single one. Quietly confident that we do fetch from Capital One because it's such a widely used institution. But let's check that out right now. So I'm going to change over to a different company. And I'm going to go into my company files. Oh, no, I'm not going to go into company files. Sorry, I'm going to go into integrate. I'm going to go to other integrations. And I'm going to go to, when this loads up, let's have a look. So.
We like the live.
Yes. So let's try Capital One. Let's try Capital. Capital Bank. There is, OK, so it's not on here. However, let me try a different company that's hooked up to one of our other fetching accounts very quickly. So just going to go to integrate again, and let's have a look.
While we're waiting, quick question.
Yes.
Kelly's asking, does AutoEntry do Canadian bank fetch?
Absolutely, yes. We
Awesome.
From memory, we have 165 companies that we do Canadian fetching for. 165 banks. Sorry, banks and suppliers.
So you were started in Dublin, right?
We were started in Dublin. Yes, yes.
So of course it makes sense that you do multi-currency, but it just had never dawned on me until you were showing that you can convert right inside of AutoEntry.
Yes, absolutely. Well, look, to that point, as you can imagine, for us, the company was started in Ireland, but historically, the majority of our companies were based in the UK. So everything really had to be multi-currency. So to answer Michael's question, I am confident that we do have a Capital One fetching. I actually couldn't find one of the accounts that's synced with that fetching on this account, but I am quietly confident that we can fetch from Capital One.
I did notice whenever you set it up, you do pick your location. So I wonder, does that have anything to do with the?
It does. Yes, it does. It does. So on this account, I couldn't find it. But as I said, I'm pretty confident we do. As I said, it's one of 6,000, so I'm pretty confident we can.
And then Curtis is asking if we wanted to go and look in our own AutoEntry file, where would we go to see that bank list? And you went to integrate then just typed in the name of the bank.
That brings up a really important point, Curtis. Yeah. because one of the things that we're really hot on, and I'm going to move on to it later and talk about our pricing structure, but one of the things that we're really hot on is our customers having an awesome experience with AutoEntry. And one of the ways that we know our customers can have an awesome experience is for them to really know a lot about it. So every one of our clients will have a customer success manager. We'll be reaching out to them when they first sign up. And Curtis, if you or any of our other AutoEntry customers would like a more in-depth tour of AutoEntry, by all means, just reach out, give us 20 minutes of your time, and we'll show you all the functionality we can add. But to your point there, Liz, yeah, it's really simple. Just go to integrate, go to other integrations, and you're going to be able to find where we fetch from under bank fetching or document fetching.
That's great. Yeah,
Perfect.
and Curtis is
That's
saying
great.
future AutoEntry customer. And I have to tell you, Curtis, I dipped my toes into AutoEntry, I guess it was in the fall. And that's what we are now using. There's a lot of pieces of it that I really like. And whenever you were showing the document that goes over to QuickBooks, I feel like more and more of our clients are asking for those original documents.
They are.
And
yes.
they know that it's available because they hear their buds talking about it at the coffee shop. You know, business owners talk. And so if you're like on that cutting edge and you're giving it to them already and have that feature, you know, with a tool that you're already using, it's a win.
Absolutely.
Okay, so talk about the pricing because this is
let's talk about the pricing. Yes,
my
absolutely.
favorites. And if you don't spill the beans, I will. Okay.
Okay, so pricing. We like to think of pricing slightly differently here. And I suppose the pinnacle reason is because we only want to charge our clients when they're getting value from AutoEntry. So we have what we call the credit system. So the credit system is pretty simple. 1 credit is 1 bill. 2 credits is a bill with full line item capture. So you can have 10 line items, it's still 2 credits. And 3 credits is a bank statement. If you want to connect with an institution and fetch, it is 10 credits per institution. And just to clarify that, if you have fetch from 1 institution and you have 5 different banks, it's still going to be 10 credits. It doesn't change the amount of bank accounts, it only matters the institution. And if you want to fetch from a supplier, it is 2 credits a month. That is it.
So I'm going to clarify what you just said.
Yes.
So this is the way that it works for us and the way that we think about it. So as an accounting firm, we buy our credits and however we use them for all of our clients is irrelevant. So I have not figured out how much we use for each thing. I just know that whenever I look at the bill, it's cheaper than if we were using something that you paid per client. So 100%. How much of it that you use depends on what you're doing for that client. And we really always feel like the credits are, it's pennies. I mean, it's not very much money at all to do bank statements and to do different activities, especially if you're talking about, it would have taken hours to manually do some of these activities that you just did in instant. So
I should give you guys jobs. You should come.
I'm telling you, we've switched over. So
fantastic. And just to make sure everyone's aware as well, is that the credits do carry over. You know, we're not in the business, very, very far from it, of letting you guys pay for something you're ultimately not getting value from. You know, that is the pivotal thing that we're against. What we want you to do is get value from AutoEntry. So if you have credits, you don't use them in the month, don't worry, they're just going to carry over for you.
I like that. I was just told that I should get extra credits.
Absolutely. I'm sure someone could twist my arm.
Yeah, no, I like the credit system. I just think
that's awesome.
Fantastic.
That's awesome.
It's the way that we work, right? Every single client has different needs and they might have a little bit more that they need from you or a little bit less. So I think it's great. Okay, Tom, we want to go ahead and do our poll where we ask everybody if they want to be able to be contacted and have additional information.
Fantastic.
You have that.
I hope it got set up because I have this terrible feeling, and I think you have to launch it because you are now the host.
That's true.
Do I stop sharing, guys? I'll stop sharing now, and then you guys.
No. Oh, that's right. I think you maybe need to do that. Yes. Okay.
Lovely.
I think
so
that
we're
what
back
we're
to
going
us.
to do is it's not in there, but that's okay. I think what we're going to do is just put your email address inside the Zoom.
Absolutely.
Right, in the Q&A, yeah. Put it in the Q&A if you would like Tom to reach out to you. Put it in the Q&A. And you'll be at Scaling New Heights, right?
100%. I wouldn't miss it.
Awesome.
Since I've moved to
Awesome.
the US, Scaling New Heights has been one of my favorite couple of the days because I just get to see everyone.
Yeah, I can't wait to see you. We're going to have so much fun. I'm really
more
looking
data entry
forward to it. Right. Absolutely. Definitely.
Always game. I love it.
Well, that was amazing. Thank you so much. Do you guys have a list of the financial institutions on your website? I think we already asked this.
Not on our website. It is on help.
Okay.
Is on help.
Okay.
But if anyone wants to receive it, again, give me a shout. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll put you in touch with one of the account executives, and they'll just pop over a list to you. And as I said, yeah, it's pretty comprehensive. There's about 6,000 on there. So
that's awesome.
Awesome.
I totally agree. Well, so Heather, do we want to show the coolest thing this month?
Oh yes. Oh my gosh, we have a very cool thing this month. I'm very excited about it.
Oh, I got a sneak peek of this. It is cool. I will attest.
It is cool. It is cool. So I was part of the accounting salon that happened in New Orleans, even though I wasn't actually physically in New Orleans. I was part of the fun. And we had our very first Zap challenge, which was a Zapier challenge. We were given some ingredients, and there were 3 teams. So it was myself and Byron Patrick from Bookkeeper, and then we had Brian Clare, and we had Jay Kimmelman, and I can't remember who they were. It was Tate, and Tate Crenshaw was one of their sous chefs, and oh my gosh, it'll come to me before the end of the session. But we had teams, and so we had to build an integration with Zapier that we had to use Dear Inventory, and we had to use Dean, who was our sponsor last month. So anyway, Byron and I, Byron Patrick, we actually won. So can you show the slides, Liz? So we actually won the Zap challenge at the accounting salon, and we actually built a Zap. And what it did, it was very cool. What it did was when you created a purchase in Dear Inventory, it would send an invoice in Dear Inventory. It would send the invoice to Veeam, where then the customer could pay it via Veeam. And then once they paid it via Veeam, it wrote back a payment receipt back to Dear Inventory. And then Byron, who's in the photo with me in the computer, he actually wrote this really, really cool bot. He actually built a bot, which was awesome, in Slack. So when you Slacked a question to the bot, what's the status of my order? It would actually come back and ask you what your order number was, and then it would give you the status of your order. It was super cool. So yeah, so we won the Zap challenge.
Really, it was 3 different softwares that you were using.
Yeah, so it was Dear Inventory, Zapier, Veeam. We used a whole bunch of built-in Zapier built-in apps, and then Slack.
That's awesome.
So it was very cool. Yeah, it was very cool.
Well done. Well,
thank you. So that was the coolest thing that we did this month with an app. And it was a bunch of apps. So
you did a really, really awesome job. And that's always fun to be able to walk away and say, yay, I did something cool.
I know.
Right?
Yay. Yeah.
Yours got to be part of it.
It was exciting. So
exciting.
I thought I'd share that. So
I'm glad you did. I'm glad you did. So if you want to be able to go back and look at recordings, because that was one of the questions, is how do we go back and look at prior episodes? You can go over to our website and you go to past episodes that are tavern. So the tavern's designed for you just to hang out. So hang out in the tavern, look at some of those prior episodes, see some of those where we're talking about, even data security and comparing apps to each other. And then you can connect with our sponsors. So if you wanted to be able to learn more information, you can go over there to their app card, and you can flip over the app card and get not only the drink recipes, which are fun, but then you can also connect with them. And then we have a blog and send us messages. So we're glad that you're here.
We're so glad you're here, and definitely connect with us. So we have our Facebook, our Appy Hour Lounge on Facebook. So come and hang out with us there. It's open to anyone, even our awesome sponsors. So Tom, come join us in the Appy Hour Lounge and connect with us.
I'll be there.
And thank you so much for joining us today. I had such a blast.
I really
It's always
enjoyed it.
fun. Always fun.
Absolutely. We will do it again sometime.
We will definitely do it again.
Totally.
We'll definitely do it again. So, so next, our next episode is on May 27th or 28th? 27th. And we're going to have ADP, and we're going to be talking about what makes a great app partner. So what are the qualities that make a great app partner for us to partner with as accounting professionals? And we're going to learn about the new ADP Accountant Connect dashboard, which is phenomenal, and also their integration to QuickBooks Online using their GL tool. So super excited for that episode. And then we have some other episodes coming up. We have Locate on June 11th. We have House Call Pro on June 25th. Lien Law on July 9th, and Cash Flow Frog on August 13th. So we got a lot of great stuff coming up.
We totally do.
Yeah.
So, Kylie's here
you.
with us today. So.
I know. I'm so excited. We get to see Kylie in person.
Yay for Kylie.
So full of energy. So full of energy. I love that about her. I do. The whole team is that way, really. It just makes it fun. You know, I mean, that's one of the things that we feel like happens is we get to connect with you, and then we see you at conferences, and you know, we have an emotional reaction to the AutoEntry booth. People are so excited there.
We do. We do.
We
do,
As
definitely.
I said, we aim to please.
Awesome. So thanks again. Another humongous thank you. I can't wait to see you next month.
See you soon, guys.
Can't wait to have you on again.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
All right.
Thanks very much, everyone.
Cheers, everybody.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye, bye, bye.
Bye.